What's up, guys? It's another video that I'm making. I have a couple topics I want to record on video. If anyone knows me, I teach traditional Japanese and Okinawan karate. That includes Shotokan, Shitoryu, Goju-ryu based techniques, weapons like bo, tumfa, nunchaku, Okinawan weapons. I like weapons. They're an extension of the hand. I like the throwing aspects. I like the grappling aspects of self-defense. Not sport, but self-defense. So anyways, I like martial arts. I like everything that they have to offer. Regardless of what you learn, it's always good to learn it, and specifically for the purpose. So what is the purpose of martial arts? In today's world, you've got different varying opinions, but generally speaking, martial arts is for self-betterment, physically, mentally, and from a character standpoint, but also to learn viable skills for self-defense. There was no such thing as sport. But what about martial? Why is it called martial and why is it called art? What makes MMA so martial, and what makes MMA so much of an art or a mix of arts? I'd like to know that, because I'm still trying to figure that one out. I believe it should be called combat sports. MMA specifically should be called cage fighting or cage combat sports. I don't think it should be called martial, and I don't think it should be called an art, because the minute you add restrictions to something, as they say, if the artist is bound, how is he free? And what merit is there in art if it isn't free? So you can't be a martial artist if you are restricted to rules and regulations and bound by restrictions, where you have no freedom to express only within those bounds. Like, you're very limited to, if you have a square, you can't exit those, you can't exit the square. You can't fit a triangle into a square or a circle into a triangle. You're bound by those rule sets. So how does that make it art? To me, it's not art. To me, it is rule-bound sport. And MMA in its own right should not, MMA sounds nice. And it's a very marketable way of saying, yeah, it's a bunch of martial arts mixed together. But are they arts and are they martial? What makes a martial art martial to begin with? Martial has many meanings. One is it's warlike, it's combative. But there's also hierarchy, ranking, system of honor, a system of etiquette. And these are just like in the army. When you're in a war, you have a general, you have a lieutenant, you have the foot soldier. There's ranking and responsibilities and leadership. And there's a sense of respect to the higher levels and loyalty to the lower levels. And a soldier that does not have those etiquettes and manners within them, they're not a soldier. They're just a mercenary or some scrap from the street that knows how to fight or kill. So what makes something martial is the element of hierarchy and order, honor. There's rules of conduct as well when it's martial. How to deal with prisoners of war, how to deal with women and children. These are all aspects of martial, not just the fighting part and the warlike and the attitude of kill or be killed, but also there's a much more deeper meaning in martial. And then what makes something an art if it's martial? Well, in my opinion, an art needs to have freedom of expression. I'm not a big fan of Bruce Lee. I think he was too young to judge so many things, but he did say something that was very resonates with everyone. It is, no limit is limit. Be like water. These are things that he adapted. He learned these principles from martial artists. He didn't invent these concepts. He adapted them from his previous training with others that were very legitimate. But Having no limit as your limit, meaning having no limit to your learning, having no limit to your skill development, having an open mind, don't limit yourself to learning something. Being humble, when you learn something without saying you know it. Like, just be open-minded to accepting the knowledge. But then having the unlimited amount of, or unlimited ability to express your skills. And the expression itself is the art. How can you express yourself in a art, whether it be martial art, acting, drama, sculpting, whatever it may be, music? How can you express yourself if you're limited? So what makes martial arts martial, and what makes them an art, and what makes MMA even that? In fact, MMA is the farthest from a martial system of anything. There is no martial part to it other than the fighting part itself. That's one element of martial. And what makes it an art? When you're pretty much restricted by not only illegal things that you can't do, not one single art can express itself to its entirety in MMA. The only art that I have seen that it can express itself as it is practiced to more of its own potential outside of its own sport rules is karate, because now we can do all the things that are in mixed martial arts that we couldn't do in karate sport. But Muay Thai remains Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu remains sport Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling doesn't change, and boxing doesn't change. Just the adapting and using any one of them with each other is what changes. That's it. But karate has so many elements that you can't use in sport karate, and you can't use in MMA either. Or, you can, but you can use more in MMA from karate than you can in, say, sport karate. So there's so many ways to look at this. But the martial arts sports also have to include a martial philosophy. So let's talk about that. What is the martial philosophy of boxing? What is the martial philosophy of Jiu-Jitsu? What is the martial philosophy of Muay Thai? What is the martial philosophy of wrestling? They don't have philosophies. They have techniques and who doesn't give up and who tries the most and who's the best fighter. But there is no philosophy. That is where you see Jeet Kune Do, Aikido, Judo, Karate Do, any of those arts, Jeet Kune Do. Those are all arts that have a philosophy. The key word there is Do. So, again, the question begs to answer, what makes MMA so martial, and what makes MMA a mix of arts when the arts can't even express themselves to their fullest? Worth thinking about. Us.